can do it. Sure we can do it. We just got to, yeah.
It's Sunday the 7th of May, and although I don't feel 100% again today, I certainly feel better than I have for the last couple of days and a lot less wiped out. So I'm just having a quick check in the greenhouse to make sure anything that needs watering is watered, and just moving plants around so they're facing the light and make sure they grow evenly. And yeah, I'm just being gentle today. The other thing that's happened today is we've just taken possession of 6 new laying chickens that have come from my friend Alison. So thank you, Alison. It's such a nice and just a nice treat to have them. I promise I'll look after them really well. So we've got 1 speckledy, 2 Rhode Island Reds, 1 Rhode Rock, a Warren, and a Colombian blacktail. So they'll eventually be living with our girls and supplying some more eggs for us, which is lovely. So behind me in the greenhouse you can see things are coming on quite well. There's quite a lot that's not quite ready, but almost ready to go out in the garden. And I'm really pleased because this table here that everything's on needs to be out of here, because I need to plant tomatoes in the bed that this table covers, and the tomatoes certainly are ready to get into the ground. But before I plant them in there, I need to expand the bed, which is a very simple job. There's a wooden strip running along the ground. I'm just going to move that over by about 6 inches, which will allow me to put 2 rows of tomatoes, so here and here, but also to have a path that runs down the middle between them, so that I can get to them to attend to them, and to tie them up to their canes, and also to pick the tomatoes when it's time to do that. Because last year one of the things I found really difficult was leaning across like this to get to the ones nearest the window. It was actually really painful on my back, and it just became increasingly difficult as the year went on. So that's the plan. That shouldn't take too long. I'm going to go and buy some compost. I don't often buy compost now, but I am actually going to go and buy some soil-based compost and some peat-free compost, something like coir, something or something like that. So anything, as long as it's peat-free, basically. But I do want a soil-based compost as well, just to give it a bit of weight and to hold some moisture in. So that will be going into this bed. So be refreshing the soil that's there. Because I do know that actually I saw in the gardening programme this week, it said you need to change it out about every 3 years. But as I'm expanding it, and the soil here is pretty poor, as it is everywhere on a small holding, I'm going to be topping it up, which should hopefully give the tomatoes a really good start. Now, I have a little bit of news about the ducklings that were hatched about 10 days ago. And they're doing fine. Well, sort of. One of them is doing really well and is fine. And the other one, there is definitely something wrong with it. And when it was born, its bill wasn't quite right. The top bill had some damage to it. And I suspect that happened while it was trying to get out of the shell. But it almost hasn't grown. Now, it has grown. Obviously, it's grown a little bit. But it hasn't really grown as you'd expect it to. So my concern for it is that A, it's not going to be able to eat properly, it's not going to be able to preen itself properly, and it's not going to be able to stand up to the rigours of living with large, heavy breed ducks. So at some point we're going to have to make a decision about what's right for this little chap, or chapess. Here they are, and the healthy one is the one closest to us. And you can see how small the one is behind it in comparison. Can you see its bill turns upwards, and it's about half the size that it should be. There you go, look at the size difference. Bless it, poor little thing. So the good news for the healthy chick is that at some point next week we are getting several new ducklings that are the same age, and they've been hatched by a school and part of the school's hatching programme, and we've said that we will give a home to the ducklings, so that if we do have to dispatch the little one that isn't growing, then the healthy duckling is not going to be on its own, and that would be my biggest concern, is that it would be on its own, and that would be pretty miserable because they are sociable animals. Out in the garden, in the herbaceous border, alright, so in the collection of weeds that have some herbaceous plants in them, I've noticed that this honesty plant, which I think is called Lunaria, I'll pop the proper name up on the screen. Oh, it's lovely. Usually this is a purple flower, a mauve flower. This is the white version, which is the one that I prefer. But it's getting its little seed discs. I'm sure as children, everybody at some point peeled the sides off the seed pods and found the papery, silvery paper centre with the little seeds on it. I'm really excited because I can do this with my grandchildren now. And here's some sweet rocket, also usually in pinks and purples and whites, and I prefer it in the white. And I love the way it looks. It's almost like a phlox, but it's not a phlox. And it's just delightful, and it looks lovely. And then in the evening, as it becomes still at the end of the day and it's warm, the scent around it is beautiful. And if you stick your nose in the flower, you can't really smell it, but 6 inches away from it there is just this heavenly scent. Quite a lot of the time I feel a bit overwhelmed by the amount there is to do in this garden. And then I just have to remind myself I've done a huge amount in a year, and Rome wasn't built in a day, and gardens shouldn't be built in a day. So it will come, and maybe in the meantime I'll just have to accept that, well, there's a lot of weeds, but they make the space look green and lush, and that's no bad thing. But one place I am starting to feel like I am getting on top of is the veg plot, and there's still an awful lot to do. However, I really am getting to grips with it now. This bed has got the last of the purple sprouting broccoli, and I keep saying it's the last, and then we get another flush. But as you can see, some of it's gone to seed. But these yellow flowers of the brassica family are really nice. It's such a pale sulphur yellow. I think they add a nice splash of light colour to the garden. So the brassica tunnel is all planted up. I managed to get all the cabbages and kale in there that I want, and I've also got the spares stored in there, so they're away from cabbage white butterflies, and although I haven't seen any yet this year, I have no doubt that they're around. And this morning I've started clearing the umpty-umpth raised bed. Well, I say I'm clearing it, I'm clearing the weeds out of it. I'm going to leave this beautiful lettuce in it so that it's just there for when we want it. We've been eating it for about 3 weeks, and it's just, the colour is incredible. It's beautiful. You see how dark it is against the wild garlic there. I mean, actually, the grass growing up through it is really pretty, but it won't. We can't eat the grass, so out it's coming, and then this bed will be ready for me to plant it up. You shouldn't work with children and animals. I'm leaning on a pallet to rest the camera on, And Monty has now actually, he's settled down to go to sleep on my back. Thanks, Cat. Helpful? Not.